girls in the Kokoko Basic School, and I've been told she's not been able to come to school today because she's in her menstruation period. I've been trekking for God knows how many minutes, and I'm still trekking to meet her.
I'm sorry, I'm not my menses. Many pardons, so Mammy Susuniska. Hope it to be a mammy. See me soon, Sagons. I will not be soon, and so maybe me could school Matanasia. A bit to me for a French woman for the best room, and means your uncle.
Period poverty is a serious issue confronting girls and women in Kokroko, a village in the Techima North constituency.
My usual to my go 7 years. Me mom dear me usual air and Sagumaham. Me my used to a nono.
The inability to afford menstrual products here is causing girls to stay home from school, with long-term consequences on their educational performance.
The stories were different, and one of it has to do with they have to having a sexual relationship with guys to be able to solve that particular problem within that particular month. And then even it has become a sort of a bargaining chip for the guys, knowing that that's the pressing needs of these girls. So they think that when they use that as a means of getting their attention, they are able to buy into it.
Not being able to use sanitary pads makes it harder for women and young girls here to manage their periods safely and with dignity. Menstruation is a natural phenomenon, but cultural and political factors make it only the woman and girl's burden. It has been mystified, commercialized, and used as tools of oppression in many societies, even today. And as females in most societies face many challenges, including gender discrimination, they also have to deal with mysteries and misconceptions that a natural occurrence like menstruation comes with, even though all gender are beneficiaries of menstruation. But a non-governmental organization called Amazing Girls Foundation has introduced an innovation in the sanitary pad sector that has the propensity to have a long-lasting positive impact on women and girls, especially those in rural areas. And these are some of the sanitary pads that they do make here.
I feel neglected.
Menstruation is not a shame.
My period is not a shame.
My period is not a shame.
My period is not a shame airs on Wednesday on The Assignment at 9 p.m. Godwin Asidiba, TV3.
Indeed, my period is not a shame. Now, a study was conducted in Zabzugu and North Dai district in Ghana, and it indicated that about 95% of girls in the region missed school due to menstruation. Now, why is it so difficult for many girls, especially in our rural areas, to be unable to afford pads? It's because under the Ghana Revenue Authority harmonized system, it is described as a luxury tax. Yes. So that means that there's some 20% luxury tax that applies to it. And that's not all. There's also a VAT of 12.5% that contributes to the price of the sanitary pads. And so that makes it even more expensive for you to be able to buy. And we're told, per statistics, that about 3.4 million of Ghana's population is considered poor. And so if that's the case, majority of them being girls, how are they able to afford some of these items that are supposed to control or at least protect them when they flow? This is a biological thing that you have no control over, and yet you cannot even afford the basic item that would make it easy for you to stay clean during that period. And this is a beautiful documentary that Godwin Asidiba has been able to put together. He calls it My Period is Not a Shame. He joins us in the studio along with Lucia Adai Intiri. She's the chairperson for the Lady Pharmacists Association of Ghana, LAPAC. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Godwin, I'll start off with you. Tell us first of all why there was a need for you to go ahead with this documentary.
Well, I felt this conversation had gone on over and over again, especially in Parliament, where a group had petitioned to the Speaker of Parliament on the taxes on it and why it should be scrapped. Then I felt there was a need for me to work on the story. But then again, there are a number of stories that have been told around period poverty in Ghana. So I was also looking at a way of telling the story differently that can be able to connect to people to also get the stakeholders on their feet to act on it as soon as possible. And that's how come you can see girls demonstrating to me how they put on their racks instead of using the sanitary pad. So basically, it's just to also add my voice to it to ensure that these taxes are scrapped, to ensure that girls do not, you know, escape school when it gets to their menstrual period, and also not to be vulnerable in terms of, you know, boys wanting to use that opportunity to have sex with them and give them some amount of money to be able to afford a sanitary pad. Imagine a girl having sex with a guy every month just to be able to afford a sanitary pad. It's really disheartening.
Which community is this?
This is Kukroko in the Tichima North constituency of the Bunais region.
So they know about pads?
Yes, they do.
They just cannot
afford it.
Sweetheart, how are you doing? Everything okay?
Yes.
What's the average price of the normal pad in the pharmacy these days?
So my team and I did some research and we found out that you could get some between, I'll say 8 CDs to about 20 CDs. Last year we were getting pads for about 3 CDs, which was good because then a lady would need a pack or 2 for the cycle. But because the prices have increased significantly, it's become a challenge for most of the ladies to be able to afford it.
But even 3 CDs, because I remember that we visited one of the villages in the northern region and we gave an old woman about 10 CDs and she danced the whole time we were there. So, I mean, if they barely even see that amount of money,
and they have to use 3
they probably
CDs
won't be able to afford 3 CDs then.
And now it's worse. Yes, 20 CDs. So you can just imagine. And sometimes you need more than a pack. You need maybe 2 packs if you have a heavy flow. So it is a big challenge.
I mean, you're among the team that petitioned, you know, our government to scrap those taxes. I remember that in 2020, ahead of the elections, the Vice President had promised on behalf of the NPP that they were going to scrap it. We're 2 years into the second administration and nothing has happened.
And it was actually part of their 2020 manifesto as well.
Yes.
And coming to power.
So, I mean, for you as a team, I can imagine how difficult it is knowing that you are asking and appealing for it and it's not happening.
Yes.
What are you doing?
And I mean, you can just imagine that years ago, to buy about 10,000 pads, because we deal with everybody in other regions, to buy about 10,000 pads, we needed about 30,000. And then now, you need about 100,000 Ghana cedis to be able to buy
the same 10,000?
Yes. And then this is coming from your personal funds, from people and all of that, because you want to be able to support some of these ladies. So it's a difficult thing. I can't say that government has a lot of challenges, but I think that if we know that we need some of these ladies to be able to have the next generation, then we should be able to support them to be able to menstruate, you know, with dignity. Because if we have to empower them, if the ladies feel like if I'm going to menstruate and I have to soil myself, I'm not going to go to school, or I'm going to take a decision that will get me pregnant, and then I won't be able to achieve what I need to achieve, then we haven't done well as a people.
Godwin, I saw you holding, if we can bring back the video, you're holding a red padded sort of, I don't know what it was. What is it called? What is it?
That was from the Amazing Girls Foundation, somewhere around Breku.
Okay.
So she is actually into the making of reusable sanitary pads, and according to her, you can use it for about 4 or 5 years. So you use it, then you wash it. She demonstrated in the
4 or 5 years?
Yes.
But you use it like, let's say 7 times 12. So 7 times in the month, and then there are 12 months in the year. So that's like 42 to 50 times in the year.
When you buy a pack, it comes in like, I think 5 pieces.
Oh, no, so 8, sometimes 8, sometimes 10, sometimes 12.
So when you use one and it's soiled, you wash it, dry it, whilst you use the other. So reusable.
That's what I'm saying.
What is it based on?
So there's this cotton material she told me she imports from the US.
Okay.
So there's some level of importation still.
Exactly.
Even with the reusable.
Of course, and that's why she's not giving it out for free. She wished she could do that, but because of the taxes, she has to sell it at a lesser price.
So how much is that
one? The red one that I was holding was 16 cedis.
16? Yes. Even for one?
Yes.
Hey.
For like the pack, it comes in like 5 pieces.
Oh, but at least you get to keep it for 5 years.
Yes, exactly. And then there was another one for the school girls, which has the, what do we call it? The leather base,
so some of them have
to be able to soak the blood
so that
it wouldn't.
Leather?
Yes.
How do you wash that and ensure all the blood?
It has a material covering it.
Yes.
I know, but there still could be some.
So I have to quickly add that the Food and Drug Authority has not registered any reusable pad because of this reason. There are issues like how do we ascertain that the pads are properly washed?
Exactly.
How are we going to check to make sure that there's no level of blood in it? How are they going to dry it? How are we going to ensure that it is properly dry? How do we sterilize? Are you going to use an iron? How are you going to sterilize it?
Yeah.
And some of these places where we go to, there's lack of access, to water and all of that. Because of how we deem it, you cannot dry some of these things in the public. And then they don't even have access to electricity or iron. So how do they iron some of these things? So if you are not careful in solving one problem, you could introduce another problem. And then if some of these ladies have infections, they could become infertile in future.
The one who said that she gets rashes in between her legs.
Yes. It means that she's not changing the pad often, or sometimes there could be a problem with the pad. So she has some of these issues.
She doesn't even use the pad. She uses the cloth.
Did you say that you could be infertile if you don't take care?
Exactly.
Yeah, you could be.
If you have problems with menstrual hygiene, yes, it can affect your fertility.
Infertility. Yes, it does. And for this community that I did a story on, Kokroko doesn't have any health facility that they can boast of. So
not even Chips compounds over there.
No, nothing. They don't have any.
Where is Kokroko, first of all?
Techiman North.
Okay.
That's Bono East region.
I see.
Yes.
No Chips compound, nothing.
They don't have any health
Not
facility.
Even a district hospital.
Nothing.
Or a regional.
No.
District hospital, Agenda 111, or which one?
Yeah, that's what I'm coming soon. Yeah,
yes,
coming soon to a community near.
Did you see any foundation?
There was actually a facility there, but it has been abandoned.
How about a pharmacy? Are there pharmacies?
No.
But
no pharmacy. There's no pharmacy there.
There are no pharmacies.
Yes.
So it means they have no access to sanitary towels, even if they can afford it in the pharmacies.
Yes, there was a story that I worked on how pregnant women are struggling there. Some of them deliver on the way. Some of them also die or they lose their babies when they are traveling to the next community. Mind you, from Kokroko to Arowa, which is a neighboring community, it's like a 45-minute journey. And they have terrible roads. When it rains, it even gets worse.
Do they have like a hospital in that community?
In the Arowa community, they do. So that's where the girls go to access healthcare. And according to the physician assistant there, they receive about 300 girls who come there with menstrual hygiene issues.
Wow.
Which is really alarming.
Now, the other issue as well, because we were told that a certain number of girls had fallen pregnant because they were sleeping with men to be able to get some money to afford pads. I mean, did you discover any of these problems in this community as well?
Yes, some of the girls told me that you have guys, like when they go to ask for money for sanitary pads, they will ask that they want to sleep with them. But then some of them were afraid to open up to me. But then based on the conversation that we have, you get to know that some of them have actually given up themselves for such sexual activities.
We're very good at putting out some of these statistics, but we never seem to do anything about it, because this is not the first time that we're hearing about the number of girls who are falling pregnant because of this. And it's like, do you feel like government is really not doing anything? Are they nonchalant about it, or are they making an effort? What's happening?
So I think that government is trying its best. But like I stated, until we're able to support the last lady out there, then we can do better. So the question is, how do we do better? And government might be trying. We expect that they should take the taxes off and all of that.
They haven't done that, so how are they trying?
We should have the conversation and engage, and then see. I know, but it comes with the terrain.
Okay, Lucia, I just just to add to what she's asking. So I remember I think it was 22nd June or 20th of June, when people like you, activists here in Ghana, petitioned the Gender Select Committee in Parliament, and you just said they are doing something about it. We just want to know exactly what are they doing about it? What's been the response? That day, did you get anybody to listen to the finance minister or the finance committee in Parliament? What's been the response to you? We just want to know what the progress is.
So the Speaker of Parliament did respond and said that they felt like it was not right. And I agree, because if there is a male and female, and then by nature a female has to menstruate, then if you are taxing the female, it means that you are punishing in a way. So I agree with that. The response is that something is going to be done about it. So we are hoping for the best.
Were you given a time frame?
No,
exactly.
We're not.
Just like she said, the Speaker of Parliament indicated it was a cardinal sin, and he didn't even know there was such an import duty or taxes on sanitary pads.
Finished goods.
Exactly.
Luxury
goods. He had to pause Parliament to go out and receive the petition. But then again, he mentioned that during the budget review, he will make sure that all those things are going to be scrapped.
Did we hear it in the budget review?
No,
we didn't hear it in the budget
review. The minister
review.
spoke and we didn't even hear anything about menstrual hygiene or sanitary pads.
So you need help, obviously.
Yes. And I think that even beyond the conversation of taxes, there needs to be a strategy to look at how do we make pads affordable. So can we use, like Bella, you mentioned, products from our backyard? Can we have, let's say, parts of the banana tree or plantain that we can find a way of making it reusable? Because COVID taught us that you can always rely on imports. You need to be able to have solutions from your backyard. So we need to look at how we can have these solutions so that it becomes almost free. I know that, I mean, when we started talking about, let's say, HIV and, you know, sexually transmitted diseases, there are countries that have condoms that you can press a button and get for free. I think that we need to have that system of having pads come in for free.
France is given for free.
Yes.
Scotland is given for
Yes.
free.
Yes.
Why can't we get there?
I think that we have our challenges, so we need to continue the conversation, engage, and then bring people who are, let's say, in charge of policy to ask them the difficult questions. Why are you not doing something
But one
about
other
it?
side that we haven't even looked at is some of the complications that come with menstruation, the pain, the discomfort, and all that. How are they? When you were documenting this, did you experience any? Did you talk to them about it?
For
dysmenorrhea and all that.
The girl who I highlighted as the face of the documentary was really sad. I mean, during the period of the interview and she not being able to go to school, you could clearly see that she wasn't a happy girl, because imagine missing school 7 times every month just because you have to go through your menstrual hygiene process till it's done is really heartbreaking. She nearly cried because this is what happens to her, and she lives in a village where a cat cannot even go there. There are a lot of grasses, trees. You have to go through the bush to get to where she lives, and she was basically frustrated and doesn't really know what to do.
Do they even have toilet facilities? Because you know how you can get diarrhea when it's time of the month. So it's coming from the front and some is coming from the back as well. Like, it's not a joke when it's that time of the month.
That is also another part that the documentary
And
highlights.
there are no pharmacies to even buy painkillers or anything.
Not at all.
Do we have any local production at the moment for sanitary towels?
Yes.
How many companies are producing locally?
I know of about 3 companies, but it's not cheap. So they are still within the 10 to 20 cedis when we did the analysis.
10 to 20 cedis?
Yes.
Even when, because they still have to import the raw
material.
Yes,
yes. So that's what I'm saying, that we need to look at what we can get locally so that it becomes more affordable. And maybe we also need to engage them to find out what can be done to make these pads more affordable. Because I think if a pack was 1 cedi, then, you know, it's something that is much better.
Is that feasible?
I think it is. I think it is. I mean, when we started the conversation about condoms were very expensive. Now today you can get some for almost next to nothing. So I think it is.
So we need to start from somewhere.
Exactly. That commitment, that engagement, that discussion, that strategy to say, how do we get there? That's what we actually need.
So beyond waiting for government to act on this, I mean, what else are you going to do to ensure that they really do act on it? Because they've made promises, they've broken those promises. Conversations clearly are not helping. Do you intend to take this a step further, and what exactly are you going to do?
So I think for non-governmental agencies like LAPAG, Lady Farmers Association of Ghana, what we usually do is we create awareness about the issues, and then we do the education. Like I've mentioned, complications for menstrual hygiene can actually cause infertility and all of its complications. If you even get some infections and it goes into your blood, you can actually die from sepsis. So it needs to be managed very well. We also give out the pads for free to a lot of these communities around Ghana. And then we advocate. So advocating takes a long time. So you still have to engage because you don't want to be seen as anti-government. So you need to be
But if that is the only way to get the job done, and this is not anti-government, because this is not the only government that we petitioned to scrap the taxes. This has been going on for many years.
Since time immemorial.
We're not getting the results that we require.
I think we would get there. We just need to take it one day at a time. So we would keep engaging. We would get there.
I think that
we need to bring some other people to the table. Some people
exactly.
People from Parliament, ladies from Parliament. We need to bring people who are in charge of policy, people who are the Ministry of Finance. Why are you calling this luxury? Do you know the implications? We need to put them across. Ladies who are going through this, who are menstruating. who are aborting babies because of this, people who are sleeping around. We need to take them on the outrages to experience this. You know, when you give a part to a lady and they are telling her, thank you so much, I'm going to keep this till a special day, till I have to go to church or write my BC because I don't know.
If she uses it now,
yes, she doesn't know when she's going to get.
The next one is coming.
We need to put these ladies across the table with these policymakers so that they speak to the ladies and say that we can't help you.
Well, you can call us shortly and share with us what your concerns are, and if you have any contributions at all, please let us know. But this documentary is airing tonight right here on TV3, and Gordon will tell us all about it. Yes. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so it's airing on The Assignment at 9 p.m. And then we know that the AGI has also mentioned about how scrubbing of the taxes is going to be of a big effect to the economy. And I spoke to their CEO who made mention that it's not like they are against the distribution of sanitary pads or reducing the taxes, but then if they cut down on the import duties, it is really going to affect the economy badly. And that's if they wake up one day to hear that, all the taxes have been scrapped and it is going to be free for all girls, they will be really excited about it. But then again, they have meetings often with the right stakeholders, and then there are talks on it to ensure that the import duties are scrapped.
But speaking of which, there was a suggestion that yes, allow working women to buy the pads maybe at the regular prices, so that whatever profit you make of it, you can provide free sanitary towels to students up to a certain level, but let the rest buy it. If you think that it's going to affect your revenue generation, at least there'll be a little cushion. How about that as well?
And sometimes I think our governing system needs force to be able to take some actions. Somewhere in Kenya, there was a senator called Gloria Woba who had to walk in with a stained suit, a white cloth, to indicate that she said according to her, she walked into parliament, they saw it, they reacted to it, and she said she was in her period, and she doesn't see anything wrong with that. And it was a whole deliberation on it for about hours before they told her to go home and change. And when she left, there were media houses outside to speak to her, where she said she's actually an advocate and this is how she felt about it, and she knows that a lot of girls are going through it. Why don't they scrap taxes for school girls to be able to afford them cheaply, and also cut down the cost for those who are
now,
working?
Right?
They are still in talks.
Guys, hold on to your line of thought. Amos is on the phone. Good morning, Amos. You're calling us from Tema. Welcome to TV3Newday.
Thank you. Good morning. I want to contribute to the program.
Okay, sure.
It's a very nice program, but during Mama time, they are providing the free sanitary pad during the Mama regime. But this government came and put this luxury tax, so it makes it very difficult to people to contribute, especially the ladies.
Oh. Okay, you were saying something.
Yeah, so what was I saying?
about the situation.
Exactly. So
the lawmaker.
She moved out of parliament, and she was told by the Speaker of Parliament to go and come back, but she didn't return. After she left, she went to schools to distribute free sanitary towels to those who were in need of it. All of them, actually. So, in Ghana here, we have the likes of Jaffa Gomashi and some of the women cookers in parliament who are actually pushing for it. But then hardly do we hear most of these women in parliament speak harder on issues like that. They have joined groups like them to demonstrate and also submit their petitions on it. But then I feel the fight is not stronger, because if they voice out, imagine having someone like Eslo Ekufu, who is very loud in parliament, to add up her voice
something
to
like this.
Such issues will get them,
Well, just to say that Kenya in 2004 actually scrapped their VAT on sanitary pads as well. It's about 16% of the value. But let's speak to our next caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Interesting that we have the men calling this morning. Talk to us, please.
There is something that is really bothering my mind. Okay. There was a time when there was a tax imposed on condom. And because of political expedience, people use that thing and they start complaining that, this is not good, this is not good. And they came and they said they scrapped that one. How on earth? This is something that ladies use every month. Every month, even condoms. But you put this thing on, this is very sensitive. And I'm very ashamed. The lady there she's advocating, is very doing well, but sometimes we should call a spade a spade. When something is not happening right, you should tell the president or the government that, this is not good. I don't say that they are doing their best. The people are not doing their best. We are paying taxes. We are doing all that we can. And they are using the money for different things and then putting something on it. Instead, they are trying their best. She tell me what best they are trying. This is what we all need to stick to. I'm a man, and I have a child. I have 2 girls. Every month you need to buy a part for them. Now, this is very serious. I think we should just call it to the parents. Stop hiding behind. Maybe you are afraid when you say they will come and attack you. No. Just say it. Just tell them that what they are doing is wickedness. It is wickedness.
Well, very passionate caller there. Thank you so much. And I think he's absolutely right. I mean, we are not doing the job and we have to let them know.
Yeah.
And we're relying on the female lawmakers in the country to really push.
Yeah.
I mean, we're even battling with affirmative action bill.
Yeah.
It's really sad that as women we have to even struggle with that. And so it's not surprising this is happening, but I do hope that we fix it as soon as possible.
And the other thing that also baffles my mind is the stigma around menstruation. In some rural areas, when you are menstruating, you can't go to the riverside to fetch water. You can't cook for your husband if you are married, and you can't involve yourself in some activities around the community, which I think we also have to be really loud on that as well, to make people aware that it is a natural occurrence. It's not, you are not cursed to be having your menstruation, and also to let people understand, especially those in the rural areas. You speak to men who are married and then they boldly tell you that, oh, me worry no nyane, you can say no, they have a chi Obunensa, exactly. Inti I was so called that baby.
If only you knew what I was thinking.
Christopher is on the line. 1 second, guys. Christopher, we don't want to lose Christopher. Christopher, good morning.
Oh, good.
Christopher, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
We're fine, thank you.
Oh, you don't sound highly spirited this morning. I'm sure this topic is affecting you. Share your experience with us. What do you want to tell us?
I'm not really happy, but I just love the show because my own opinion about this whole thing. I think sanitary pads needs to be free for we the ladies, because sometimes we go through pains, and at the end, affording sanitary pad needs it's very difficult for us. It's totally a shame. You get it. Sometimes we end up going to guys to take money from them just because of this sanitary pads, and it's really shameful. So I think even if the government would do anything about the taxes of normal things, I think the sanitary pads needs to be done about it for us to be able to afford them. That's all.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. Charlie, this thing is sad. Very, very sad.
Really sad.
I mean, even religiously, like you just were saying, in some churches here in Ghana, yes, go and do your research. In Ghana, when you are menstruating, you cannot get mixed up with the rest of the congregation. You would have to sit at the back when it's time of the month. And when it's time for offering and tithes, you cannot go in front. You would have to give it to someone to go to take to the front for you. And I'm thinking 21st century.
What's the religious connotation? I'm trying to understand.
You're unclean.
Yes.
At that time of the month, you're unclean. And you're unfit to cook for your husband and even perform certain duties as a wife. So at that time, you're like an outcast. So go deal with the curse or the shame. After 7 days, when you're all cleaned up, then you can come back. And these are the same women who get pregnant to give birth to human beings here on earth.
And when it's time, human beings who come up with these laws.
Yes, they give birth to these same human beings coming up with these laws. It just does not make sense. Sometimes being a woman is super difficult, especially around the side of the world. And these things must be checked. We must talk about it. We must deal with it. That's why we are proud of you for bringing up this documentary. We can't wait for it this evening, 9:30, right? 9 p.m. right here. And it will be on Facebook Live as well. Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube. But I think we'll be streaming on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lucia, thank you very much. We're wishing your association all the best. Is there a number to call if there are people out there who want to help you? Or is there a website or are you on social media?
Okay, so we are a branch of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. Okay. So if you want to reach us, we have an office, the Secretariat at Spintex. You can always reach us through the Secretariat.
Okay. It's on the Spintex Road.
Yes.
Okay. Are you guys on social media too?
Yes. We are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Yes.
Lady Pharmacist Association of Ghana. Okay. All right. Yes, honey.
Yeah, I was saying that if we have anyone out there who also wants to help in donating sanitary pads for them, I mean, we are not just telling the story because we want to tell the story.
You can reach us
we
here,
want
3
the results.
Foundation,
Yeah.
right?
So they
3
can
Foundation.
just walk in here, either bring the pads or whichever way they want to help.
Okay.
And then we'll have to visit the community again and make the girls happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll watch you 9 p.m. God willing, and I do hope that you make a date with us as well.